Good day, everyone! Today, in our mythology and folklore class, we will be learning about Shintoism. So sit back, relax, and let us explore the wonders of early Japan. Before we delve deeper into our discussion today, let us first know the meaning behind Shinto. So, what does the word Shinto mean? Shinto traces back its origin from the Chinese word Shandao, meaning way of the gods. It is also regarded as the oldest religion in Japan. Now, let us tackle about the origin of Shintoism. Shinto began during the period of the Yayoi culture in Japan, from circa 300 before Common Era to 300 Common Era. So the early religion, Shinto, has neither a founder or prophets, and there is no major text which outlines its principal beliefs. Meaning, unlike Christianity as a religion where we have Jesus as our founder, having Aaron, Moses, Ezekiel, Enoch, among other prophets in the Christian faith, and having the Bible as our sacred text. In Shinto, all these things are absent. They only possess flexibility. The following things that we are going to talk about next are the fundamental concepts of Shintoism. First, we have purity, which centers in both physical cleanliness and the avoidance of disruption, and spiritual purity. Second, we have physical well-being. Third, harmony or wa exists in all things and must be maintained against imbalance. Fourth, we have procreation and fertility. Fifth, family and ancestral solidarity. Sixth, we have subordination of the individual to the group. Seventh, reverence of nature. Eighth, all things have the potential for both good and bad. And lastly, the soul or tama of the dead can influence the living before it joins with the collective kami of its ancestors. So these things that I've pointed out earlier are the general notion and the concepts behind Shintoism and how it thrived in early Japan. This time, let us take a glimpse into some of these Shinto practices. So, Shinto venerates to the local spirits, as we already know about it, that resided in material objects, usually natural or peri-natural. So, an example to this are the mountains, the trees, the rain, the sun, and whatever that there is in nature. So in Shinto, gods, spirits, supernatural forces, and essences are known as kami. Shamans, who could communicate with kami and use supernatural power to cure people, were an important part of early Shinto practices. The majority of these shamans were women. Certain families passed on the role of a shaman from generation to generation. They also had this special procedures and rituals for contacting the dead as well as invoking the gods. That is why the shamans did play a very crucial part in the early Shinto practices. Shinto emphasized personal purification as an element in worship, along with direct communication with the kami and the offering of gifts. Here, let us learn the three classifications of Shinto. So we have Jinja, or shrine Shinto, the Kyoha, or the sect Shinto, the Minzoko, or the folk Shinto. So for Jinja, or shrine Shinto, the term is usually used to refer to the beliefs and rituals associated with the shrines that give their allegiance to the Jinja Honcho, or association of Shinto shrines. Shinto shrines, or the Jinja, are places of worship and the dwellings of the kami, or the Shinto gods. What we can see in the following slide are pictures of the famous shrines found in Japan, which the Shinto believers devoted to their most venerated kami, or gods. The first picture shows the Ice Grand Shrine, dedicated to Shinto's most revered deity, the sun goddess Amaterasu Omikami, and is considered Japan's most sacred shrine. The second shrine in the picture is Atsuta Shrine. It is also referred to as one of Shinto's most important shrines. It is located in Nagoya, Aichi, Japan, where it is also said to have stored the sacred sword Kusanagi, which is one of the three imperial regalia. While the third shrine in the picture is Kyoto's famous Fushimi Inari Shrine, dedicated to Inari, the kami of rice. The last picture is Izumo Taisha. It is located in the city of Izumo and is revered to as Japan's second most important shrine. The main deity or kami enshrined at Izumo Taisha is Okuninushi Okami. So according to creation myths, Okuninushi was the creator of the land of Japan and the ruler of Izumo. He also became known as the deity of good relationships and marriage. For the second classification of Shinto, we have Kyoha, or the sect Shinto. Sect Shinto started in the 19th century and includes 13 major independent sects, which are officially recognized by the Japanese government. So as you can see in the slides, these are the different major independent sects that make up the Kyoha Shinto. For the third and the last classification of Shinto, we have Minzoko, or the folk Shinto. This is the name given to the traditional Shinto that was practiced by ordinary Japanese people at their local shrines, and that was not institutionalized by the various national reforms. This time, let us have a deeper understanding about kami, or Shinto gods. So at the heart of very early Japanese religious practices are kami. The word is usually translated into English as gods or deities, though the concept is actually more complicated than that. Kami can be divided into two main categories. The first relate to natural phenomena. For example, a mountain or a stream may be thought to have a kami associated with it. A mountain kami might be seen to help a farmer by providing water during the growing season. This kind of spirit or force does not necessarily serve humans, but its favor can be beneficial to them. The opposite is also true. An angry kami can cause great destruction. The second category of kami are ancestral spirits called uji kami, or clan deities. These spirits can help individuals in the present. However, they do much more than that. The process of honoring one's ancestors helps unify the extended family that descended from them. Maintaining these bonds strengthens the clan and the entire society. A person is responsible to these spirits for his or her behavior. If a person does something dishonorable, such as committing a crime or telling a lie, the ancestors are ashamed as well. Let us also bear in mind that no kami is all-powerful or flawless. Oftentimes, in Japanese myths, the ujikami, or sometimes they call it ujigami, do things that a human might, getting into trouble or upsetting others. In this way, they are like Greek or Roman gods. Now it's high time for us to talk about the Shinto gods. So Izanagi and Izanami, according to the Shinto creation myth, Izanagi and Izanami were brother and sister, and husband and wife. They were the eighth pair of primordial, or first beings existing before the world, and are known to have created everything in the world, including other gods. The second deity is Amaterasu Umikami, or Amaterasu, the Shinto goddess of the sun. She is the most important divinity in the Shinto pantheon, or the collection of gods. She is held to be the ancestor of the emperor and this most revered person of heaven. But she is not at all powerful. In fact, the stories that describe her make her seem very human, though. Of course, on a godly scale. According to the Shinto creation myth, Amaterasu was born when Izanagi returned from his unsuccessful attempt to rescue his wife, Izanami, from Yomi, or the land of the dead. Amaterasu emerged from one of his eyes. Shukiyumi, the Shinto god of the moon. He is the brother of Amaterasu, the sun goddess, and Susanoo, the storm god. Shukiyumi was born from Izanagi's right eye after he cleansed himself following his trip to Yumi, the underworld. As god of the moon, Shukiyumi rules the night. In some myths, he is said to have killed Ukimuchi. In some versions, Inari, the Shinto goddess of food. Susanoo. Susanoo is an important figure in the Shinto myth, was one of the gods born when Izanagi returned from the underworld, the land of the dead. He sprung from Izanagi's eyes as the god purified himself from his long ordeal. Susanoo is known as the impetuous male, which is an apt description. At first, he was one of the most powerful gods. Izanagi gave him the sea to rule over, but Susanoo was not satisfied. His sister Amaterasu had been given the sun, and his brother the moon. Angry, he vowed to join his mother Izanami in the underworld. Izanagi banished Susanoo as punishment for his ingratitude. Ninigino Mikoto, the grandson of the sun goddess Amaterasu and the creator god Takami Musubi. Ninigino Mikoto is the ancestor of the Japanese emperor according to tradition. He is known as the god of plenty and the prince heir of rice, and is called the august grandchild, the great land divider, and the great land master. According to the Shinto creation myth, Ninigi was sent to rule the earth by his grandmother. In these two slides, we can see the pictures of the Shinto gods and goddess. So we have Izanagi and Izanami from the left. We have Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, Susanoo, and Ninigi no Mikoto. So in Shintoism, they also have the other important divine figures, which include Inari, the rice god Kami, which is also very important in the Shinto belief or in the Shinto religion. So the seven lucky gods, or they call it Shichi Fukujin. So here are the pictures of the seven lucky gods. We have Ibiso, Daikuku, Benten, Bishamon, Fukurukuju, Jurujin, and Hotei. So this time, let us delve into the Shinto shrines. So Shinto shrines, or jinja, are the sacred locations of one or more kami. And as we all know, there are like more than 80,000 kamis in Japan. And shrines are easily identified by the presence of a torii, or sacred gateway. If the majority of you do not know that a typical Shinto shrine complex includes the following common features, then let us learn together. The first one in the picture is a torii, or sacred entrance gate. So whenever you get the chance to go to Japan and visit a Shinto shrine, please expect that you will pass through an entrance gate that looks like one in the picture. The second one is the honden, or sanctuary, which contains an image of this shrine's kami. For example, if the shrine's kami is Amaterasu, then in its honden you can see her image. The third one is the gushantai, or sacred object inside the honden, which is invested with the spirit of the kami. So whatever object, sacred object in particular, that is found inside the honden is called gushantai. There is no particular object called the gushantai, but it is just a sacred object inside the honden. The fourth one is the sando, or sacred path, joining the torii and haiden. So whenever you want to go to the haiden, you pass through the torii and of course the sando, which joins them together. The haiden, or oratory hall for ceremonies and worship. So this is what the haiden looks like. It's different from honden. Haiden is the oratory hall for ceremonies and worship. This is where the Shinto believers pray and hold their ceremonies. So the haiden, a building for prayers and offerings. So apart from haiden, the honden, we have the haiden, or the building for prayers and offerings. This is where the Shinto believers offer their prayers and their offerings as well to the gods. Next is the saisenbako. So sa saisenbako, a box for money offerings. So whenever they hold their worship and the ceremonies, there is the saisenbako, a box for money offerings, where the people give their money and place it inside the saisenbako. It's just merely a box, but it's really important in the Shinto shrine. A timizuya is a stone water trough for ritual cleansing. So this is where the Japanese or the Shinto believers cleanse their feet, their faces, and there they wash because they believe in personal purification before they do the rituals and worship as well as their offerings. Lastly, we have the kaguradin, a pavilion for ritual dancing and music. So this is where the Shinto followers or the people in the Shinto religion holds their ritual dancing and music as they have it. I think that is everything that I can share with you today about Shintoism. Thank you so much for bearing with me, and I hope you learned something new and exciting about ancient Japan. This has been Nina Amato, your presenter for today. Arigatou gozaimasu!